Hello students, welcome back. So this particular session which we are going to talk now would be about functions, and let me tell you, it's a very important phase of JavaScript development. Now why, you will definitely realize it when we talk about it. So what is a function? Function, we know that it is used to do a specific job, a task which you have. You can define a function for it and expect it to return some true or false value or any value which you want it to return. Okay. Now, how does a function look like? It first precedes with the keyword function followed by the function name. Then you can have parameters which could be passed on to it. Now this particular parameter, it could be an array, it could be just a variable, or it could even be an object which you can pass. Now the example which you are seeing over here, it is basically checking for the type of the parameter which is passed. There are numerous occasions where there would be a return value and you would not know how do you go about with it. So one of the primary ways to check with whether it's a number or a string or whether it is defined not defined is to go about with this kind of coding, where you want to check with p1 whether it is a number or not a number as such. Okay, so as you can see over here, it is also making use of a control structure in the form of if else loop, if else control structure. So you have if type of p1 if it is equal to number. Okay, so this type of, if it returns number and if it matches with the string number, then it returns a 0. Okay, if not, it is going to return a string 0. Okay, so if you actually run this particular example, pass on the values for the function foo. If it is 1, it returns a 0, indicating that it's a number. Or if you return ABC, since it's the type of ABC is string, it matches with the else part, so it returns a 0. If you just call this particular function without any parameter, it returns undefined, because you are not sent, or you are not sent any value which could be checked. Now these functions, you can define the function within the script tag in the HTML file, or you can put this particular function definition in a separate include JavaScript file from where these functions will be fetched, or it will be called, evaluated, executed, and the return values will be present to the HTML pages. So here we have an interesting concept of functions. So say there are cases where you would not know what are the variables you want to pass. Okay, so these arguments or local variables which you presented to a specific function, if the length is varying, you need not define function for each and every variable length. Okay, instead what JavaScript provide to you is, it provides a keyword arguments dot length. Okay, so this is a function which is going to return the length of the argument. Basically it could be a sequence of numbers, so it is going to return the length of the arguments which you are going to pass. Based on that, you can evaluate whatever you want to perform. Say for example, you have this particular function sum, and s is defined to be 0. You have a for loop, okay, which is a more regular for loop where initialization of I is being done to 0, I less than arguments of dot length I plus plus. Okay, so calling this particular dot length will return depending upon what is the number of arguments it has got. So this s is summing up the values which are present in those argument list. Okay, now so for example, if I call this particular function sum with 1 2 3, the obvious answer it would return with is 6. Okay, so it has passed through the whole list of arguments, which is 1 2 and 3. It has summed up the 3, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3, which returns it as 6. The next one similarly is 15. How about this? It is 1 2 followed by a string constant over here, then you have 4 5 following it. So what do you think would be a return value for this? Quite an interesting problem, right? Let us run this particular example and see as to what does it actually return. From that we'll be able to delve in case there is a different type of variable in this particular argument list, how will it be perceived. So let us go back to the example. So I have this particular function over here. Let us look into the code first. So it is a variable argument.html. So I have the same function defined over here. As you can see, there is a slight variation. I have defined this particular function as it is listed over here inside the script tag. But unlike in the previous cases, script tag is not defined in the body, but it is defined in the head. Generally, it so happens that whatever is defined in the head will be the one which will be transferred from the server to the client. Then it knows as to what it needs to be done using this particular function call. Okay, so this function, as I described you in the slide, it is the same function call. Then what I'm doing is in the body, I have 3 paragraphs defined with different identifiers. Then I'm going to call the function for each one of it with 1 2 3 as parameters. This is a variable argument length, and of course you have 3 in between as a string constant, for which we need to identify as to what could be a return value. So whatever gets returned from the function sum will be embedded inside the paragraph as a HTML text. So let us run this particular program and see as to what would be the output of it. Okay, so I'm running this program. Oh, so I have 6, which should be the value for 1 plus 2 plus 3. I have 15, which should be the value for 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Then I have a strange value which says 3 followed by 3 4 5. Why is that it has to be 3 followed by 3 4 5? If we go back and look into my example, I have 1 and 2 followed by a string constant. Then it follows with 4 5. So basically the way it has accepted this is it has summed up 1 and 2, then it has formed the string. Anything following the string, it has concatenated the same, considering it to be as a string. So you have 1 plus 2, which is considered to be 3, followed by 3 4 5. That is the output which we have got over here, as you can see. So it is a 3 followed by 3 4 and 5, because 3 was a string constant in between the 2 different types of variables. So in this particular example, we saw as to how I can make use of variable argument length, make use of for loop in a little different type, and whatever is returned, it basically got inserted as inner HTML for the different paragraphs. Let's go back to our presentation. So what are the other built-in functions which are available? You have eval, which takes in an expression, returns the evaluation of an expression or a statement. So in case I have evaluation 3 plus 4, it returns a number. In case I have evaluation of alert of hello, it returns alert of hello, where that will be executed and you will get a alert window where hello will be displayed to you. If you want to check if a number is finite or not, you need to make use of isFinite. If you want to check whether a number is a number or not, then you can make use of isNaN, where it is going to check whether the number is a number or not a number. Similarly, you have parseInt. So parseInt can take one parameter, or it can take 2 parameters, where S would be considered as a string literals, and radix will be the part from where you will have to search for it. So what does it do? It converts string literals to integers. Say for example, if you have something like parse 3 chances, it is going to return 3. Okay, so what does it do is it parses up to any character that is not part of a valid integer. So basically you're asking it to parse for integer. Okay, you're asking it to parse for integer, and it is going to return an integer in this particular string, which is supposed to be 3. So in the next case, if you have parts of spaces followed by 5 followed by another sequence of characters, then it is going to get the first integer value and it is going to return 5. If there are no integers in the string which you have described, then it is going to return not a number. Okay, similarly you can have parse float where it is going to find the floating point value at the beginning of the string. Say for example, in case you have 3 followed by e power minus 1, which will be the result for 0.3, then 0.3 is returned and the rest of it is ignored. Similarly here it returns with 13.5. So let us see a demo with parseInt before we break for objects. So here is the example for parseInt. So I have all the parseInt for 3 parseInt function calls as well as 2 parsefloat function calls. So let us run this particular example, see as to what it uh, shows to us. So as it's shown, hello JavaScript was part of the initial file. Then it is showing 3 followed by 5 followed by the name, which is not a number. Then it returns 0.3 for 3 e power minus 1. Then it returns 13.5 for the last one. Okay. So we'll take a break now, and when we come back, we are going to discuss very interesting things about objects. Thank you.